Yep, I'm ready.
Ms. DePiero, are you ready? I guess she can't hear me. Mr. Crucci, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
We are ready, sir.
We're ready.
Very good. This meeting is now called to order Monday, April 12th, 2021. After the flag salute, we will have a moment of silence for the passing of the former mayor, Margaret D. Young, the first female mayor of Little Falls, and the passing of Judge Cordino. Mayor Damiano, please lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, please read the statement of public notice at this time.
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. Notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey, on February 17, 2021. A copy of the notice was faxed to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the township clerk on said date. This meeting is being conducted under the circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 health situation. No public will be allowed to attend the meeting in person. A link and a telephone number to join the meeting can be accessed on the township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, call the roll.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Present.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Present.
Councilmember Seaver,
Present.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Present.
Council President Scoba.
Present. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, we have a couple of proclamations to read between Donate Life. We have an autism proclamation. And this evening, we are going to finish out with an Earth Day proclamation in the month here of April. So,
Mayor, sorry to interrupt you real quick. Mr. Cuccia, Mr. and Mrs. Sauter, who are coming on for the Donate Life proclamation, we're having trouble getting access. It's in the chat. Do you see them up to sign in? So I know they wanted to be here because their sister-in-law Donna is here right now as well, but Nick and his wife are looking to join too. So if you want to do that,
Chris, it's saying that it's still the host locked.
so hopefully they can come in. If you want to maybe wait on that one and do the other two first, up to you.
I can tell you my wife is having the same issue.
Okay. Looks like more people are coming in now. There we go.
Thank you, Councilman, for bringing that to our attention.
I think I got everybody in.
Yes, there they are. There he is. He's here.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
all right, we'll just give it a second. We'll just give it a second for everyone to connect to audio as everybody finishes joining here. All right, it looks like most are now connected to audio as well. So, as I was saying just a couple seconds ago, we have three pretty incredible proclamations that we're going to read this evening. The first being for Donate Life, the second for autism awareness, and the third this evening going to be for Earth Day here in Little Falls. And in particular, the Donate Life and autism awareness proclamations that we'll be reading really do hit close to home. We have one of our hometown residents of many, many years, as well as a hometown hero who donated life to one of our hometown residents of many years, all from Little Falls, all happening right here within our backyards. And I want to thank Mr. Nick and Ms. Debbie Sauter for joining this meeting this evening for our Donate Life proclamation. I know Rob Canizzo has previously been very involved in this, and it was him who donated to Mr. Sauter. So I want to thank all of them for joining us this evening. And with that, I'm going to start this evening with our Donate Life proclamation, and I'm going to ask Mr. Sauter to say a few words after that. So, in honor of National Donate Life Month, whereas realizing the urgent need for an organ and tissue donors across the country, the National Donate Life Month observance promotes a greater understanding about life-saving benefits of donation and transplantation. Moreover, the need is increasing, and whereas the transplantation of organs and tissues is a miracle of modern medicine, made possible through the compassion of organ and tissue donors, enabling surgeons to save thousands of lives every year. One organ donor can save 8 lives, and one tissue donor can restore the health to over 75 others. People of all ages, backgrounds, and religion are touched by donation and by the serious shortage of organ donors that exists. According to the New Jersey Sharing Network, currently there are nearly 2,000 New Jersey residents and 107,000 Americans awaiting life-saving transplant operations. And whereas every capable person should support this vital effort by registering as an organ and tissue donor, making their family aware of their wishes, and being willing to give the precious gift of health, sight, and life to people in need. And whereas the New Jersey Sharing Network is spearheading an awareness effort in order to educate the public about the importance of organ donations and its life-saving mission. Now, therefore, be it resolved that during April 2021, as National Donate Life Month, each of us will become better educated about organ and tissue donation. Be it further resolved that I, Mayor James Belford Damiano, along with the Township Council, do hereby recognize April 2021 as National Donate Life Month here in the Township of Little Falls. And as I started saying, we're honored this evening to be joined by Debbie and Nick Sauter, along with Donna Tissot, who has been, I would say, extremely instrumental and vocal about sharing the information about the National Donate Life. And I would invite them to say a couple of words this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the proclamation. The awareness is in such great need. I know so many people who are in that situation who are about to take dialysis or be on dialysis. People don't understand that dialysis is not a lifesaver; it just keeps you alive. And the people that are suffering every day, 3-4 times a week, a couple hours each, they need some help. And if anybody could just press the share button, if you see any kind of help or asking for help for donation of organ donations, please do so. I have 300 friends, and every time I share one of Donna's posts, only a handful share. Now, you can imagine if every one of my 300 friends had 100 friends, how many people would get the word out. So thank you again for recognizing the need for organ donation, and appreciate all the support and effort that have been given to me in the past. Thank you.
Ms. Tissot, would you like to say a few words? I know you have been very instrumental in getting the word out here for Donate Life. Oh, 1 second, you're muted.
Muted.
Okay. I advocated for my brother-in-law, Nick, for 2 years, and I went nationwide to get him a donor, and it ended up to be 2 doors away. But still, we had 30 people come forward that were tested and unfortunately denied, but they found out they had their own medical problems. So in a way, it was good that they did come forward. Currently, I have saved 3 people's lives, and I have other people that will be transplanted within the next 3 to 4 months. I'm advocating for 10 people right now, and I have a pile of other people that have asked for my help. It's a passion that I have, and it's very rewarding to see someone get the gift of life.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for continuing to be an advocate for all of these individuals. I'm happy to share any post that you put up, so please make sure that you tag me in it, and I'm hopeful that other friends and family will be able to see that and continue to share. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. One other thing, Mayor. I have scheduled a radio broadcast tonight for someone I'm advocating for. So at 9:35, if anyone's available, 101.5 FM, you'll hear Deborah Kaufman. who desperately needs a donor. And I'm her advocate. If anybody needs any information, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sawyer. You look great. Thank you for joining us this evening. Up next, we have an autism awareness proclamation, and many of us have a family member or a friend who has been touched by autism and the incredibly special effect that it has on all the individuals who are touched by this. And in support of autism awareness, we have a proclamation that I would like to share, and I will then invite a number of the people who are joining us this evening to say a few words. And it reads, whereas autism is a pervasive developmental disorder affecting the social, communication, and behavioral skills of those affected by it. And whereas, as more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum, resulting in rates as high as 1 in 54 children nationally and 1 in 32 in New Jersey. And whereas, while there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if individuals with autism receive early and intensive treatment throughout their lives, they lead significantly improved lives. And whereas individuals with autism often require a lifetime of specialized and community services to ensure their health and safety and to support families' resilience as they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism can present. And whereas Autism New Jersey is spearheading an awareness effort in order to educate parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. And now, therefore, be it resolved that during April 2021, as National Autism Awareness Month, each of us will become better educated about autism and create a better community for individuals with autism. Be it further resolved that I, Mayor James Belford Damiano, along with the Township Council, do hereby recognize April 2021 as Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Little Falls. I see this evening we're joined by a couple of individuals who themselves or who have family members that are affected by autism, and I would like to invite each of them to say a few words this evening before we move on. Can we start?
You have Brennan there with his family, Benvenutis, and then you have the Hannahs over there with Robert and his parents, Melissa and Rob, Mayor.
We just want to say thank you for recognizing all the kids with autism in town.
Absolutely, and as information becomes available for future walks, we hope that you'll share that with the township so that we can also help in spreading the word to the entire community.
Thank you.
Hey, Bud, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming on here. All right, I think that rounds out our Autism Awareness Proclamation this evening. And last but not least is our proclamation for Earth Day. And it reads, whereas Earth Day originated in the US in 1970 to increase awareness of environmental problems and was renamed by the UN as International Mother Earth Day. And whereas scientists estimate dozens of plants and animals will go extinct each day due to human activity. And whereas humans generate 4.5 pounds of trash per day, and according to Recycle Now, nearly 80% of all plastic waste ever created by humans is still in the environment today. And whereas there are many small things we can do each day that will make a huge difference for our planet, such as to recycle, carpool, use fuel-efficient cars, and stop littering. And whereas every year on April 22nd, Earth Day demonstrates environmental support and how we can protect our planet from further harm. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor James Belford Damiano, on behalf of the Little Falls Township Council, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2021 as Earth Day in the Township of Little Falls. Council President, that rounds out the proclamations this evening, and I turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a quick hello to Nick Sorter. He was my Little League coach, if you remember, Coach, back in Totowa when you were 17, and we used to get the Hickory Hill Country Club field, if you remember, with Joe. So it's good to see you.
Yes, I do remember.
Of course, you gave me the name Slugger, but I don't know how that came about because I would strike out all the time. But that was the nickname that you gave me, if you recall.
You're always encouraging.
Yeah, right. We'll move on. Have a motion to open for public matters.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second,
Second.
Mrs. Kraus, please read the statement.
Members of the public who desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the council president will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Please give your name and address for the record. Once the process is complete, we'll return to the regular order of business.
The floor is now open.
Mrs. Kawadi is the first member of the public up to speak.
Mrs. Kwadi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Ann Kawadi, 45 Morningside Circle. Myself and the library would just like to express our gratitude and thanks to the mayor, Council President Scoba, Mr. Pace, Ronnie Campbell, and DPW crew, and the MSU volunteers who assisted in the coordination and removal of the old flag post stand remnants and the removal of the wood chips there on the front lawn. They did an excellent job, and will allow us to do our spring and summertime programs outside on our front lawn this season. So a big thank you to everyone involved in that. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kwadi, for your comments. The record will be noted. I do want to reiterate, I was quite impressed with the college students' cleanup abilities. And I'm pretty hard to impress when it comes to taking care of lawns and cleanup like that. But they did a really good job. The floor is now open.
Mr. Fernandez is next, Council President.
Good evening, Mr. Fernandez. Mr. Fernandez?
Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Mr. Mayor, welcome. Nice to see you. Enjoy the compliment. They don't last too long. But anyway, I have two questions and one comment. I hope you enjoy, let me say them. First of all, a couple of weeks ago, when you went over the budget, you said that the township part of the budget increase will be around roughly $100. Am I correct so far?
Mayor, Mr. Fernandez, why don't you ask your whole question and we'll address it, if you don't mind.
Okay. I was wondering if you had, as we all know, the budget for the township is formed with 4 parts. The township naturally, and then the schools, both the schools, and the county. What I was wondering if you have the figures from the schools and the county, so we know what the raise ultimately is going to be.
So, Mr. Fernandez, you're asking the mayor to what the raise of the township is?
No, the township we know already.
Okay, you want to know?
I was wondering if he has the figures for the schools, both the schools, Little Falls and Passaic Regional, or whatever it's called, and the Passaic County.
Okay, very
So to be clear, the local portion of the tax increase on the average home in Little Falls in 2021 will not be $100. It's $81 on the average home.
I said roughly.
Okay, yeah, right. So it'll be $81 on the average assessed home, assessed at $313,000 here in the township. The last I spoke to Mr. Cucci about the, completing the budget, we still only had estimates from the county as well as the schools. Unless Mr. Cucci has received them in the past couple of days, when we haven't touched base. And Mr. Cucci, have you received those numbers at this point?
I have not, Mayor, nothing formally from any of those other entities.
So unfortunately, Mr. Fernandez, still at this time, we only can be certain of the Little Falls portion and the Little Falls increase. At this time, I can't give you a definitive answer as to what the total increase will be on the average assessed home here in the municipality.
I understand. I hope you can share those figures as soon as they come in.
Of course, we absolutely will.
Okay. My second question was and I'm sure you saw a few blogs as well as a few emails asking for the COVID-19 numbers. I was wondering why it took a month from the last report to the report of April 3rd of this month.
Sure, I can help in answering that. And that's because I have not been getting as frequent updates from the health department as I had been earlier during COVID. In the earlier days of COVID, I was getting at some point daily updates from the health department. It then had moved to a couple of times a week, to weekly, to bi-weekly updates more recently. And the reason being this: the numbers are the only things, the only information that I'm getting from the health department regarding COVID at this point. There is no new information that the health department is sharing, that the CDC is not blasting on widespread media outlets. Meaning, if at this point you don't know to wash your hands, and if at this point you don't know to wear a mask, you've also probably forgotten to buckle up when you've gotten in the car. Because it's kind of been implanted in all of our heads that you get in a car, you wear your seatbelt. When you go in public, you wear a mask, you social distance, you wash your hands, you use hand sanitizer. So the only information that they are providing to me lately is the case number, whether they're a male, female, their age, and their sex. So that information, while it's still important to have occasionally, having daily updates regarding that information is not as important to me as the health department getting vaccines in people's arms. And that is where our very, very small health department has been focusing, I'd say 95% of its energy. Their energy right now is getting vaccines in people's arms. That's where they are focusing. They are working with individuals who are completely homebound in Little Falls, and they are putting boots on the ground to get them usually the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So they are doing everything that they can in order to do that. And they're spending less time behind the computer updating the Excel spreadsheets and sending them to me. So that is the legitimate reason as to why. There was one update that I received between March 5th and April 7th, whenever the heck that, don't quote me on those exact dates, the updates were updated on the website. It was actually in a spam folder that I did not see, and I did not see that email. But again, the only update at that point would have been, the unknown of whether we had no new cases or 30 new cases in that week. So the legitimate answer is I'm not getting updates as frequently. I'm not asking for them as frequently because right now I want the health department's focus and energy to be on vaccinations and getting them in people's arms.
I understand. And my last comment, and I thought it was hilarious in the sense that, well, that goes to show you how things work. As you all remember, about 3 years ago, we had a flooding in this area, in the Jackson Park area, due to the Packman River overflowing, I guess, the sides and whatever. But we had a terrific flood that caused a lot of damage, financial hardship among the residents of Jackson Park. And I remember that we asked for FEMA. Quite a few residents asked for FEMA, and it was denied, saying that it wasn't the amount of financial aid wasn't big enough. And I'm bringing this up because the amount of hundreds and thousands of hundreds of dollars that the residents spend rebuilding and restoring their homes and whatever wasn't enough, according to FEMA. But now they are helping with the funeral arrangements. Isn't that funny? They help you bury you, but it will not help you to rebuild your life. That was a comment that I had to make because I thought it was stupidity at its best, to be honest with you. I know it has nothing to do with you.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Fernandez, that the township the township did submit all of the expenses and loss that there was township-wide. It extended, far beyond just Jackson Park. There were many residents also on, Mr. Vanchiri there on Hobson. There was, a number of private individuals who lost businesses, things like
Right.
that. A number along the highway. It was not just the township that submitted. We submitted to the state along with all the surrounding municipalities. And unfortunately, there was also a major storm that 2 days later actually ravaged the more southern part of the state. I believe it was in Brick Township and some of those areas. And all of those numbers were actually combined as one megastorm and sent to FEMA for reimbursement. I can tell you the township's cost, and again, this was just to the township after that flood, was somewhere in the vicinity of about $350,000. That we
357.
that we had to make up as an emergency appropriation the following year. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm with you. I 1000% wish we were reimbursed by FEMA for the cost that we incurred. I wish residents had greater assistance than they were provided. We advocated for it, we fought for it, we submitted letters, we did everything we could through all of our avenues. Unfortunately, it was denied, and but I do share in your concerns that it was not reimbursed at the time.
Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, your comments are always welcome. The title of this is All Matters, so whether or not the matter pertains so much to Little Falls or it doesn't, the comments are always welcome.
Thank you.
Are there anyone else? The floor is still open, Mr. Kusia.
Council President, there is no one else with their hand raised.
Okay. Then at this point, I'll ask for a motion to close for public matters.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilmember Hablitz. All those in favor of closing for public matters signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed to that motion signify by saying nay. The motion carries. At this time, we'll go to items to be discussed. Number one, ordinance establish a memorial tree program, and number two, resolution authorizing Jeff to represent township in matters of the Occidental Petroleum Corporation. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. As you are aware and we're part of this process, there have been a lot of requests that have been made through me and my office about individuals who are looking to plant a tree in memory of someone who they lost. They have some connection to Little Falls oftentimes, and in the past, it seems that there was very little formal process in which people needed to go through in order to plant a tree with a little plaque in memory of someone here in the township. And in discussions with Mr. Kuchia and some separate conversations I've had with a number of the council members, we decided that this could really be a win-win for the township as a whole, as well as the individuals who are looking to have something in memory of a loved one. And what was discussed and what was decided is that the township, and being presented this evening for the council's approval, is an ordinance that would allow individuals for a fee of $750 to receive a tree planted on their behalf in memory or in honor of a loved one, as well as a plaque that would read in memory of with the individual's name. And the reason that this is also a benefit to the township is the township can have portions of its open space graced by another tree. And the areas where we believe that this would be extremely important for the township as well would be in a number of the FEMA properties that we own along the flood-prone areas of the township previously down in that section of town. And in these FEMA lots, water absorption is always something that is important, and trees always assist in that. So having additional trees planted in this area along with a plaque will benefit the township by having additional trees there. It will also assist in giving someone a place to remember someone that they loved who they may have lost in the past. So again, the fee would be $750. You get a tree along with a plaque, and it will be installed, and or the plaque will be installed, and the tree will be planted in memory of an individual. So that is the memorial tree program that we are looking to establish here in the township, and it is being presented for the council's approval this evening.
Do the council have any questions? Are we okay? Does the council have any questions or comments for the memorial tree program? If council members have specific language issues, I'd ask them to hold off until we get to the actual ordinance. But if you have some general comments about the program, you're welcome to do it at this point.
I don't have it. I mean, I have some specific questions, which I could hold off to later if that's better. But in general, I think this is an amazing program to continue to, push forward and recognize people within Little Falls, and I love it. And in terms of specific language, I can hold that till later if that's better.
I think it's great as well. My mother actually has a tree planted in her honor in a neighboring town. So I'm very happy that we're starting a program like this in Little Falls. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate it.
Likewise, I think it's a nice way to honor those who were here at one point and their families to have a place to be reminded of that person. So I have some questions around the actual details that we can get to later as well.
Councilmember Hablitz, any comments on the Memorial Tree Program?
I just wanted to say, living in one of the flood-prone areas of town, it will be nice also to see beautification with the trees and also honoring people at the same time. So I think it's great.
Okay, Mayor, looks like council's full support of the program. Item number 2.
Yes, item number 2, I'm actually going to turn over to Mr. Cuccia. It is the resolution authorizing the EGIF to represent the township in matter involving Occidental Chemical Corporation. But before I do, just to give everybody a brief background, this has to do with a environmental issue that affected the Newark Bay back in, I believe it's around the 1980s. But Mr. Cuccia is intricately involved in the joint insurance fund and is able to express some of the more intricate issues that will be addressed in this this current pending litigation.
Thank you, Mayor. So here's the situation. We are involved in a suit because we have our sewerage going to the Passaic Valley Sewer Commission. And they distribute their effluent into Newark Bay. Because we are members of the Suburban Essex, Suburban Metro Joint Insurance Fund, we are also members of the New Jersey Environmental Joint Insurance Fund. That is an advantage to us because it is the Environmental Joint Insurance Fund that has brought the MEL members together to have a joint defense with regard to this suit. So I know it says resolution authorizing, but we spoke with the EGIF attorneys and they say that we do not need a resolution because we are already members of the Environmental Joint Insurance Fund. So this is a united defense among many, many municipalities who are involved in this. And I just wanted to make everyone aware that we would be represented by the Environmental Joint Insurance Fund.
Does the council have any questions or comments regarding this issue?
Council President, if I can just, I just want to piggyback on Mr. Cuccia's statement with regard to this. I was present for a conference call a couple weeks ago with the group of municipalities that have been brought into this suit. And I just want to make clear that the nature of the suit is actually against Occidental Chemical Corporation, which is the current owner and responsible party for a chemical plant site in the Ironbound section of Newark that many years ago was the producer of the chemical, which we all know as Agent Orange. And that company had deposited tons of the Agent Orange material, which was basically dioxin, into the Passaic River. And that is the source of the litigation. What has happened is Occidental has sought out other parties which may have some other connection to this potential chemical spill or purposeful deposit in the Passaic River. Because Occidental is hooked into the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission pipes, the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission is the first party that they sought to go after. And then since we, like many, many other municipalities, are members of the Sewerage Commission or clients of the Sewerage Commission that utilize the pipes, it comes back to us. So there's no direct connotation here that Little Falls itself had anything to do with this. It's just the defendant here, Occidental Chemical, who is a hard polluter in being responsible for this, looking for other parties. And obviously, this is the reason, as Mr. Cuccia indicated, this is the reason why we have insurance, and most importantly, a joint insurance fund, because rather than having 50 odd municipalities being represented by 50 different attorneys, you have one group coming together and one attorney reducing our liability, reducing our costs, and bringing the matter to a favorable conclusion. We've gone through this in the past, and the results have been spectacular comparatively. So I think at the end of the day, this will be a benefit to the township. And should I get any further updates from the joint insurance fund, I'll be more than happy to share it with the council should they have any further questions.
Well, thank you, Council Wenzel and Mr. Kusia, for the clarification, right? This is not Occidental Petroleum taking on the Township of Little Falls. This has to do with many municipalities, and correct me if I'm not, if I'm wrong here, that the actual Occidental Petroleum lost the lawsuit against the state. Is that not correct?
Oh, yes, this is according to the lead attorney at the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, this is the oldest environmental lawsuit ongoing in the state of New Jersey. This is now, they've resolved the state portion, and now this is the federal portion. So in essence, this has been going on. The actual litigation itself, I think, has been going on for almost 30 years. So this is an ongoing issue, but the Passaic River is better today for this type of litigation. So it's the next iteration of this litigation.
Thank you. We'll move on to our bill list, which is, can I have a motion to approve Resolution A?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second. Second by Councilmember Hablitz. For those joining us, the bill list is a list of bills that all council members receive of all the monies that Mr. Kusia pays out, and we get to see every item that is paid out by the municipality. We will now take a vote on the bill list. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, before we vote on the correspondence, Mrs. Kraus, can you please read the correspondence?
Sure. Request from Great Notch Fire Company number 4 for permission to conduct a boot drive on Friday, June 4th, 2021, and Saturday, June 5th, 2021, at the intersection of Long Hill Road and Notch Road between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Motion to approve,
So moved.
moved by Councilmember Vanchery.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor, Mrs. Kraus, call the roll.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1400.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1400, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code, Chapter 71 fees.
Have a motion to open for the public hearing on ordinance 1400.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor of opening 1400 to the public signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Seeing no public comment, we'll move to, can I have a motion to close the public on the hearing on 1400, please?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Hablitz, second by Councilmember Vanchery. All those in favor of closing to the public on ordinance 1400 signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed to that motion signify by saying nay. That motion carries, Mrs. Kraus. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1400?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Seaver. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll to adopt ordinance 1400.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, that motion was a long time coming, so with the efforts of Councilmember Vanchery, this motion now comes to in order. So hopefully we won't see as many discarded materials in our township. Moving on to ordinance 1400, 1401. Mrs. Kraus, please read 1401.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1401, an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 126 littering of the Code of the Township of Little Falls.
I stand corrected. The first ordinance was for fees. This is the ordinance about litter. I'm jumping the gun here. Anyway, I'm glad to see this is finally coming to order. Can I have a motion to open to public hearing on 1401?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Seaver, second by Councilmember Kawadi. All those in opening to 1401 to the public signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. The motion carries, Mrs. Kraus. Please, can I have a motion? Anyone like to talk on that? No, so we'll move forward. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on 1401?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Hablitz. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on 1401 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, finally, now we get to approve this ordinance. Can I have a motion to adopt 1401?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilmember
Second.
Kawadi, second by Councilmember Vanchery. Call the roll on 1401.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, for those public viewers watching, we do get excited about passing motions that we work so hard on. So this is the highlight of what we do here, one of the many things. Can I have where are we here? Can I have a motion to adopt? We did ordinance. Did we do that 1401, right? So we're moving on to 1404.
Right.
Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1404.
Introduction of ordinance number 1404, an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, to add chapter 132 Memorial Tree Program of the Code of the Township of Little Falls with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for May 10th, 2021.
Can I have a motion to introduce 1401?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Councilmember Kawadi, second by Councilmember Hablitz. Call the roll on 1404.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi,
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Councilmember Hablitz, before you give your report, would you like to talk about COVID memorial? Mr. Crocken commented at our last meeting that he would like to see the township do a COVID memorial. Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yes, I would actually, Council President. Thank you. So we have discussed Mr. Crocken's question about the COVID memorial. And at this time, we're going to hold off on any memorials due to the fact that right now it's still an ongoing pandemic. And although we're not saying that we're not going to do anything in the future, right now we'd like to hold off on it and maybe proceed in the future with either a memorial plaque, a service, or another type of remembrance for our residents.
Thank you. Before we continue with reports, there was another comment by Mr. Crocken asking that we maybe establish a letter writing campaign for the Peckman River. I'd like to address this through the mayor as well. The fact is that the mayor is in constant contact with our Congresswoman, Mikey Sherrill, over this issue. Little Falls is always on our forefront. The mayor has a direct line of communication to her. I think they talk once every week or every other week about this particular issue. So do all council members have a direct line. Matter of fact, Councilmember Kawadi is going to be talking about the Congresswoman who was in our town a couple of days ago. So this conversation is always ongoing, and it's not necessary to do a letter campaign, writing campaign on this issue when we have a active Congresswoman working for us down in Washington, D.C. on that very issue. Mayor, would you like to comment any more on that?
Sure, Council President. And this is one of those things where between myself and Mayor Kazmark, Congresswoman Sherrill is well aware and constantly having her radar go off for issues regarding the Peckman River, in particular, this massive diversion culvert and project that we hope to see to come to fruition soon. That said, of course, if any individual resident ever feels the need to write to the president or to the Congresswoman about a particular issue, I would never discourage them from doing so, but I can absolutely state, and be confident in saying that Congresswoman Sherrill is very much aware of the issues surrounding the Peckman River and the importance of this project for us here in the Township of Little Falls, along with neighboring Woodland Park. So again, yes, if you feel the need that you need to write this, please do. But again, she is very well aware of this particular issue.
Thank you, Mayor. This time we'll move to council member reports. Council member Al Kawadi, would you lead us off, please?
Yes, thank you, Council President. So just want to mention that April is also Child Abuse Prevention Month. And in the efforts of the Domestic Violence Prevention Committee, I just want to remind people to be diligent in checking on loved ones. We're still, not fully open. And so people are still probably spending a lot more time home with people and potentially in dangerous situations. And that goes for adults as well as children. And so just want to remind everybody that if you know somebody who may be in danger, please reach out to them, let them know that you're supportive of them. And there are hotlines available to get them help. And obviously in any emergency situation, always call 911 first. I am happy to report that at our last Domestic Violence Prevention Committee, some of the members are becoming a little more comfortable with going out in public to promote domestic violence prevention. And so as more events happen in town, I think we'll be seeing the committee available for outreach and to remind people to be diligent and have some materials to pass out as well. Last year, we sort of put a hold on things because of COVID, even though we did have some members come to the farmer's market and set up a tent and promote the issue there. We're going to be doing that more. So I'm happy to report that that'll be happening. In reference to what you alluded to earlier, Council President, we did have a visit from our Congresswoman this week. I was very proud to be a part of it, as I'm sure you were as well. Her team reached out and said that they wanted to come to town and speak to some people regarding COVID and how it had impacted their businesses. And so we sort of joined them in visiting the Falls Kitchen and Pencil Works and Ethan and the Bean. And the councilwoman was terrific. The Congresswoman was terrific. She sat and she heard their concerns. She heard the good news and the bad news as far as some of the CARES Act funding that had gone out in the past. This was not her expecting people to just tell her what she wanted to hear. The business owners were very open about what went right and what didn't go well. The first round, most of them had good experiences with the second round. And so they shared that as well. And I think the Congresswoman was appreciative of the fact that we were able to join her, that things are starting to look better, but it was an interesting visit in that we're always happy to have her in town. We're happy to know that she is looking out for the residents and the businesses of Little Falls. The Peckman is a perfect example. She's been very public in her support of the Peckman River project. And this was just another way that she was supportive of our township and the people that do business here. And I want to express my appreciation to her for doing that. And it was an honor and a pleasure to join her on that walk. And that's it.
Certainly was Councilmember Kwadi. Although you and I didn't get to go with her to the conference call to Janet Yellen, right? I thought
That's true. She did have to speed things along because she had a call with the Treasury Secretary, and so
right.
I hope she took the concerns of our local business people right to the Treasury Secretary on that call.
Councilmember Sieber had some issues with the memorial tree ordinance. I guess can we go back there and entertain those questions? Or do we bring it up at the next time? Yeah, absolutely. So you say no, okay. Council, before we move on to more committee reports, Councilmember Sieber, you have some concerns about the memorial tree program language?
I think I just had some questions regarding, I think there's a lot of great programs out there from town to town that I've seen. And so sometimes there are maybe a max number that you take, because sometimes they get so excited. Like we get maybe so many residents or families of residents excited that maybe there might be a cap of how many we take at a certain time, because we don't want to disappoint anybody. And so what is the max number per year? What is the lifeline of this? What is the upkeep of this? So I think there's some additional language that could be added in within this ordinance to better explain what those expectations are. So if I'm going to pay $750, I think I want to know exactly what that time frame is. Am I going to get it tomorrow? Or maybe I might be put on a waiting list for 3 years from now. and maybe, it's only guaranteed for a year, 5 years, 10 years. So I think there might be some opportunity for additional language within that ordinance.
Okay. So you raised some, I'll be right with you, Counselor. So you do raise a concern, right? I would imagine the township is not going to go out and put one up. They'll do it in like 3 or 4. So yeah, there could be not, if someone does pay the township $750, it could be a 2 to 3 month waiting period, a 4-month waiting period, especially with the weather too. So it comes into play. But maybe that ordinance should show that. Counselor, you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, so I hear the councilwoman's concerns and they're entirely valid. I think the best way that this may be addressed is by the township taking it on internally. And I mean it this way. The ordinance is simply to identify that the program is going to occur, that obviously you're going to be collecting a fee for it, and the general parameters surrounding it. It would then be best as to the various regulations as to how many you're going to take, how that is going to be taken care of, who's taking care of the trees. I mean, the ordinance does address that to some degree, but there can be internal regulations set by, and we could put that in the ordinance, that there would be internal regulations set by the township on those issues. Because quite frankly, at some point, you're going to have an ordinance that's going to be 5-6 pages long, all with very important information, but the ordinance is really just giving the general force and effect to the township administration to get the job done, so to speak. So all of these things, I think, can be addressed. I think to some degree they may be put in the ordinance, and I can certainly take a look at that, and you can amend it accordingly if need be. And then other things I think really end up in essence a regulation book or a handbook.
Council President and Mr. Wenzel, the one thing I was going to ask is for us to consider, knowing that there are some sensitivities about what you can and cannot put in an ordinance, what we could do utilizing the website is when we have the information about this memorial opportunity, create what's called an FAQ, frequently asked questions. And what we could do is go in and write up the potential questions that could come up from a family member who's looking to purchase the memorial, and then have those responses similar to what Councilwoman Sieber had alluded to, because people are going to have questions of how many people are on the list for year 1, when are the trees planted, how will they be maintained, and then I know in the ordinance it says what happens if they're damaged by a hurricane or natural disaster, what's the time frame then of repairing it. So I think if we can't put everything in the ordinance, could we create an FAQ that's available on the website so that when people are looking to potentially sign up, a lot of those questions can be addressed through the website? Because if anyone right now sees this, it's going to get passed soon, they're going to have a million questions right off the bat, because they're not going to really dive into the exact ordinance. So it's probably easier to create an FAQ on the website.
Okay, we'll take a look at the FAQ. It's something we haven't done in the past, but doesn't mean we can't do it now. Councilmember Sieber, I would suggest that you take the councilor's comments and think about that. And if you still have those concerns, you can contact myself and the mayor, and we can discuss possibly changing the language of the ordinance before we adopt it.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to talk about that particular topic before we move to council member reports? Councilmember Quaddy, were you finished with your council report?
I was. Thank you, Council President.
Councilmember Hablitz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. So just a short and quick reminder, the library is still having ongoing virtual activities. I know a lot of us are feeling a little, tired of doing the virtual events, but really the library has an array of different things. They're still hosting virtual yogas, virtual gaming, like bingo, virtual story times. So anyone can check out the library website for more information. Also, I have just learned that recently that you can register by appointment for a computer skills lesson. These days, a lot of people, especially our senior generation, having problems signing up for COVID vaccines, or just, being home, having to do virtual more often, wanting to get in touch with their grandkids, all of those kind of things. It seems to be a little more challenging towards our senior population. So there is a computer skills lessons. They can teach you how to use the internet. They can teach you how to use email, how to use an e-reader. So all you have to do is contact Joe at the library. His phone number is 973-650-2885. It's also on the library website. So that might be something, especially as I said, with our senior population, that they might want to utilize. So that's very good. And also, I just wanted to tell everyone to keep up with our Earth Day initiative that we've had for the last couple of years. Prior, we were doing a lot of town cleanup with the Montclair State students. Now, because we have such a great cleanup in place already with our DPW, we're moving to some other things that we can do. So we're hosting our first spring shred and electronic recycle event. It's going to be Saturday, April 24th from 10 to 1 at the town hall parking lot. You're able to bring any of your important documents that you would like shredded securely, and you can bring any unwanted electronics, microwaves, old cell phones, cameras, anything like that. And it will be in the parking lot of the municipal building. So it's great to have the community have things like this to be able to securely shred their documents and recycle.
Thank you, Councilmember Havelitz. I gather this is at no cost to our residents?
It's at no cost to our residents. It is for Little Falls residents only, but it is at no cost to the residents.
Thank you. Would you like to talk about the Adopt a Herb Senior with the Girl Scouts?
Yes, so there's also going to be for Earth Day, there's going to be the Girl Scouts in collaboration with the Senior Advisory Board. There's going to be a give a seedling, plant a seedling. So the Girl Scouts will be planting their own seedlings, as well as giving a seedling to our seniors. We are trying to figure out what's the best location for them to pick up, and we will have more information about that this week, either the Civic Center or maybe the Rec Center, to have the seniors actually come and pick up the seedlings, so that the Girl Scouts will be able to plant their own and the seniors will be able to plant their own seedlings.
Thank you. That's a wonderful program. Councilmember Vanchery.
Thanks, Council President. First I want to thank the Sodders, Nick and Debbie, for joining us, as well as his sister-in-law, Donna Tizzo, for tonight's Donate Life proclamation. When I reached out to them last week, they were like, absolutely. Because if everyone remembers, we had a chance to honor Nick right after his transplant in the chambers. So it's always great there. I mean, that's Donate Life Awareness Month has a special place in my heart. I've spent 9 years of my career working in this field, and also having a relative who also received the gift of life. So grateful for them. And from an autism awareness standpoint, thanking the Benvenuti family as well as the Hannas for being there tonight, having Brennan and Robert here. And one thing I know, the Hannas didn't get into a lot of what they do, but Melissa and Bob actually run the Champions program in town through the LFAC. So they're in charge of coordinating the events for children with special needs, whether it's baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis. So they do a great job in the community helping those with special needs. So grateful for all the work that they do as well. And if you haven't noticed outside, we did put up the flag to signify Autism Awareness Month on April 1st. And in addition, the lights sort of mimic the colors that are on the actual flag. It's the puzzle piece that's on the flag. So that's why there's different colors. I know typically in the past, it's always been just blue, but over the years, it has evolved to multiple colors. So if you do stop by Town Hall, you'll see that the mix that is reminiscent to the flag that is flowing right now in front of Town Hall. A couple other things I did want to mention. This weekend, we kick off the spring season for baseball and softball in town. Just want to say thank you to Tyler Pissarro and John Pace at the rec department, helping coordinate what has become a new trend for us with sports, because following all the different CDC guidelines that are in place, of course, because of COVID. So this Saturday, April 17th, baseball and softball officially begin with a number of games in Little Falls, with baseball in the morning and softball in most of the afternoon. So we're looking forward to that. We've had to make a number of adjustments, of course, with COVID, but we're all looking forward to that. So just thanks to the rec department for help coordinating this. We have a good number of players. We have over 300 this year for the two sports, which is great. The other thing too, this weekend that will kick off on April 18th, unfortunately it was supposed to kick off yesterday, but Mother Nature had a better idea, is the Little Falls track and field program. We launched this a couple years ago, and we had about 30 residents that were participating in this program that starts from kindergarten to the 8th grade. I'm proud to say that we have over 100 that are going to be starting next Sunday. And, we're grateful for the work that's being done by Passaic Valley High School, as they are allowing us to use the track for 3 hours on Sunday from 9 to 12. And members of their cross country and track and field teams are going to help us out along with some of their coaches. So it shows that the program has really grown over the last couple of years. So we're looking forward to kicking off that this weekend as well. Just a couple other updates related to the Memorial Day weekend activities. I had a chance last week to connect with Herb Brichta from American Legion Post 108 just to talk about the parade. Right now, no decision still hasn't been made whether or not we're going to do this. We've reached out to other towns as well to get a sense of what the plan is, and most are still in that holding pattern at this point. So I'm hoping to have that finalized at some point this month, if not early May, whether or not we're going to go ahead with this. Because I mean, the great thing about this is if we do it, it's a well-oiled machine. But we're also mindful of COVID right now and public gatherings, and knowing that it'll be a little awkward if everybody's marching closer together and not following social distancing. So more to come on that. But I did want to mention that we are going to have the concert on Friday, May 28th. Myself and Councilwoman Havelitz are going to look in the next couple of weeks to meet with several employees within town, whether it's related to the police department, DPW, our CERT team, just to map out sort of the plan for the 28th, as we have a number of different activities planned, including performances, as well as tables for vendors. And hopefully Councilman Kawadi will talk to the Domestic Violence Committee if they want to come out for that as well. I think it'll be great for them to be there that night. And then in addition to that, if we do not go ahead with the parade, we still are going to have the Memorial Day service, because that's what this weekend is really all about, honoring the men and women that gave the ultimate sacrifice. So that start time will depend on, of course, if the parade is canceled or not. So more details to come with that. And then just lastly, I do want to thank, Chief Post. Our last meeting, one of the residents had reached out just to inquire about some traffic data on East Main as well as Cedar Grove Road, looking into some details. So the next day, Chief Post was able to pull a report from 2007 up until last year that showed there had been just 26 accidents over that 13 plus year span. And as my next step, I had followed up with the resident that the next morning, and then reached out to Mr. Silverstein, the county engineer, to have him do an assessment of that area to see if it did qualify for a traffic light, which it did not, just based on the numbers are there. But also he had pulled through some recommendations for some enhancements by the property owner, potentially by adding a curb and maybe putting some protection on their property as it relates to their gas line that is on the East Main side. So really appreciate, Chief Post doing his due diligence to pull the data almost immediately after it was brought up at a meeting. And then just thank you to the county for looking into this as well. I mean, when we get these requests, Council President, I think we do our part behind the scenes to follow up and make sure that people understand, we are looking into this and we take these concerns and questions that come through seriously. So that's it for me.
Well said, Councilman Member Vanchera. We don't say, we'll get back. When we say we get back to you, we really truly mean we get back to you. And, we talk about these issues when they come up from the public, and we investigate them and see what the best alternative answers are to them. So I appreciate you and the council members and the mayor as well looking into it and seeing what we could do when those issues come up. Councilmember Sieber, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. So, we have our farmers market well underway, and the planning is going great. We're actually almost full. So if there's anybody out there who is looking for some guest vendorship, please reach out to us. Also, we still continue to look for some sponsorship of our new program in terms of a free bag giveaway. We only have a couple spots left in terms of that. So again, if you're interested in that, you're a small business in town or in the surrounding area, please reach out to myself, Councilwoman Hablitz, or Tyler Pissarro from our rec department. So some great planning on that. And then I think I just wanted to kind of cap off my report in that I love how we always do these awarenesses for every month, and they're so important because it's the only way that we can continue acknowledgements of situations that are happening, but sometimes they might not fall within the particular month. And I know that recently we might have had a suicide within our own township. And so even though suicide awareness might be September, that even in April, there might be people who are suffering. So I want to put that out there, that there is help available. And, to please reach out regardless of what month it is and what might be happening, that, there's always help available.
Thank you, Councilmember Sieber, for that passionate committee report. So moving on, we through Mayor, the council will be getting back to you and taking a look at prohibited occupancies of spaces that people are renting out in their homes and in their buildings. The council members are going to be taking a look at that to see if we could give you more teeth in that ordinance so that your building department could be more have more leverage in making sure that spaces that aren't supposed to be rented out are not rented out. Also, I'm going to volunteer Councilmember Sieber and myself to take a look at a loan and improve program, possibly to bring forth to you, Mayor, and the council about finding having homeowners be able to borrow small sums of monies to fix up their properties, sidewalks, and their homes with a payback option, and see if that's a viable alternative to the residents of this community who have had some hardships with COVID, who do want to fix up their homes. So we're going to take a look at that and see what we'll meet with Mr. Kusia and yourself and take a look at some programs and come back with some recommendations.
Thank you. Perfect, Council President. I've always said once I have nothing left to do as mayor that I would hang up my hat. But with you members of council, I might have to stick around for like 4 more decades because you guys are constantly coming up with new things and new ways to improve this town. So thank you all for being so intricately involved in everything that happens day in and day out.
Thank you, Mayor. So I guess with that, there's nothing else. So Mayor, the floor is yours if you'd like to close this meeting out.
The only thing that I would like to report is with Memorial Day coming up, there is, I know the Woodland Park Post and Little Falls, the Legions are looking to combine and work together for, I'm going to screw up the name. I think they call it a hump. It's a march that the armed services do together. And they visit a number of the retired service members, those oftentimes who cannot get out of their homes. And the younger members of the Legion go home to home as a large group, to honor the fallen members and to pay respects to those who are still living but unable to leave their homes. And they are looking to do that event this year on May 15th with it ending at Memorial Park. There is still a lot of information that needs to come together over the next couple of weeks. But I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get a number of our Little Falls, retired armed service members there for the conclusion of the ceremony, where there's going to be a few words said, and that it can be a small little get-together, an event to celebrate those who have, we have lost that have served this nation, and those who are still fighting day in and day out. So as more information becomes available, I'm happy to share that. But thank you, Council President, for another tight run meeting.
Thanks to our counselor for joining us in our town engineer, and to Mrs. Kraus and Mrs. DiPiero, and Mr. Cuscio for this meeting, your assistance in running this meeting, and for what you do for the town. At this point, we'll take a motion to close the meeting.
No moved.
Moved by Councilmember Kwadi, second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Seaver. All those in favor of closing this meeting on April 12th, 2021 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to that signify by saying nay. Since I don't have a gavel, this meeting is now closed.